Hello, everyone. I know you've had a long day in the orientation camp. This is day two, but also as a very integral part of today, we have our special friend Zara, all the way from Pakistan, who is also an UMLAS fellow. And just to give a context about her, like we've only met each other virtually, but like the brief conversations we've had and the kind of work she's doing is really inspiring. And I reached out to her because I think the kind of work she's doing is really powerful, especially in Khyber village, where she's working with the women over there in a very interesting, creative manner about in through block printing and many more traditional crafts. So I don't want to waste any more of your time because I know, exhausted, but I hope you engage most importantly with her, ask me as many questions, and really like just kind of give your yeah, be curious. So yeah, I now hand it over to Zara.
Thank you so much, Nihal, for this very kind introduction. Hi, everyone. I am Zehra. It's lovely to be here. Um, I look forward to sharing my experiences, but most importantly, I also look forward to learning from each one of you and what you think about sustainability and what you think would be your role, in being agents of change in the communities and societies you work with. So let me begin with a very important concept which I learned when I started my entrepreneurial journey. And I really want you to, think about it, learn about it, so that when you are in the field working with your communities, you always take this approach with you. So this is called the design thinking mindset, which is so important for change makers, for entrepreneurs who want to think innovative and who want to be hopeful about the future, who want to be, a beacon of hope for their communities and their societies in a world which is obviously marked by conflict, climate change, and so much and so forth, right? But it is us, okay, and it is just us who can bring that change and who can ignite that fire. So what do we start off with? So first of all, you always try to understand what the problem is. And getting to the root cause of any problem is the key to understanding what the issue really is. So, for example, in one of the villages in southern Pakistan, in Sindh province, where I come from, I've seen women really struggling in terms of everything. They have a triple burden of labor where they have to take care of their families, but be also, able to, arrange water every day, which really hinders their capability to, really get that level of education or to venture out or to start off their own thing. But then at the same time, in 2022, when we were hit by massive floods, where 70% of our province was affected by floods, we also realized that when you work with women, it's very important to understand their problems and to be able to empathize with them. So, for example, developing that empathy always comes when you talk to these people, right? So, the picture that you see on your screen is a very user-centric approach, but you can also, adopt this, this framework even when you work with communities. So in your case, it would not be the users, it would be the stakeholders. Okay, so the stakeholder would be a better term here. But if you, look at it from a business perspective, from a social enterprise point of view, then obviously a user's experience. So anybody who you are engaging with in order to understand what their pain points are. So, for example, these women in Khyber village have never been to school. Um, they have very limited to no access to healthcare facilities in their village. So they don't have any structured way to come out of poverty, right? And then we also understand that they want to work. Okay, so that's where you define the problem statement. They want to work, they want to change the course of their family's direction. They want to be able to contribute to their family's income so that they can send their kids to nearby cities, nearby villages where they can get their children educated. All right. So they need that disposable income. Um, However, we also have to, see and plan our interventions in a way which is culturally appropriate, right? So, for example, then we go to ideation mode, where we think of all the ideas that we can do, right? So, one of the ideas which we came up with was, um, what if we, shift and, them to a city like Karachi, which promises a lot of opportunities, but it's very expensive, especially if not all of your family members are living in the city, right? And then you do a cost benefit analysis of how much would it be if you migrate the whole family to a city. What if you migrate their kids to a city? Or what if you, develop a factory in that city, sorry, in that village where they can go and work part time? But then they would not be able to give time to their families. They would be away from their children. And this is not a solution that they would adopt. So what else do we do? Um, and when you look at the user and the solution, you always do observations. So, for example, when we went and did our observations, which is a very important tool of ethnographic studies, where you go live with the communities and understand their everyday lifestyle patterns. You interview them and you also shadow them. So you live with them, but you don't really like let them know that you're here for an intervention. You just want to live there. You want to understand their behavior patterns. You want to see how they live, so that you can then propose a solution which really resonates with them. That's what we mean by shadowing. And then a very important part of creating that solution is participatory design method, where you develop the ideas into objects that translate into something. So, for example, we did a survey of the district and we understood that there's a lot of work done on Sindhi Ajrak block print process. So, Ajrak is a product which it's a shawl that the design patterns go back 5,000 years ago, all the way to Indus Valley civilization. And some of the artifacts, showing that this craft existed 5,000 years ago was discovered in the 1920s from places like Mohenjo-daro, from Harappa in Punjab. So we then, delved into these solutions and we thought, okay, textiles, especially fast fashion, contribute so much to climate pollution, right? Because especially if you use polyester, right? How about we give an alternative where we use 100% cotton made from our own, villages, made from our own factories, and we use organic dyes, which are also, locally available, and then we convert it into tangible objects where we, make, shalwar kameez, where we make shawls and saris and tote bags and curtains, and bed sheets and bedspreads. And then we test this product, not just with our main stakeholders, but we also sell it in the market. We also sell it to consumers within our, country, within our own city, and see if we can collect some input for improvement. Okay. So we didn't, introduce this intervention on our own. We sat with these women and we asked them, this is the project, this is already being done, in your district by men, traditionally speaking. Would you be interested in learning this process? And they said yes. So out of 50 women, we only selected 15 women because obviously when you are starting a project, you lack funds, you lack human resource, and initially you want to prototype, okay? You want to test if your idea would really run and if these women would be interested in your project. So we did a prototype. We did like 10 days of what we say, mm, a pilot project where they were introduced to this craft work, and once we saw that they were really gaining a momentum of this project, we then decided to continue it. That's the testing phase. Prototyping is so important when you work on any project, because even if it's for 10 days or even if it's for 3 months or a year, okay, whichever project you think about, always make sure that you pilot test it before you actually invest on your idea. And as an entrepreneur, I always think that even if give it to your test phase, and even if you are scaling, always be flexible to pivot. Pivoting is so important. Pivoting, so I can speak in Urdu, Nihal, is okay, right? The participants here can understand it, right?
I don't think so. Hindi works. I don't know about
Yeah, yeah,
Urdu.
yeah. Yeah. It's more or less the same. तो पिवट का ये मतलब नहीं होता कि आप पूरा अपना आइडिया चेंज कर दें. You don't just transform your idea completely, but to reach to your end goal, you just change your mechanism. अपना तरीका तब्दील करते हैं आप, तरीका change करते हैं. Your way basically changes. So always keep that flexibility in you because there would be challenges, and even if you come up with a finished product, there would always be something that you would have to adapt. So be adaptive, be flexible, be ready to pivot. Okay. And that's where this design thinking mindset is so important to cultivate. And it obviously comes with time. It comes with failures as well. But I don't call it failures, I call it lessons. But it's always provides an opportunity to grow. Why? Because if it doesn't run here, if it fails, no problem. You go back to your problem. Okay, you go back to your problem and you understand where the pain points are. So when you feel disappointed, you can always go and understand that no, you are solving a bigger problem. Okay, you're moving this community out of extreme poverty where they don't even know where to bring the next meal from. All right. And you also, make them understand that they are contributing to climate adaptability. And we need these solutions because this is the only way we can progress as a society. And then it is very important to always design, okay, solutions which are culturally appropriate. So, for example, when we talk to these women and we told them that it's going to be a male trainer, they said that we don't mind getting trained by somebody, by a male who's not from our village, but our men would not be comfortable with that. Okay. Now, please keep this in mind. I am a big feminist from my mind and my heart. All right. I've been born in a city. I've lived in the UK for 3 years. I have a very different mindset. Okay. I work with men, I work with women, I work with transgender. No problem with me. But these women, I cannot enforce my ideals or my thought processes onto them. So please keep this in mind. Pick your battles really well. Okay. If there is something which is not acceptable in your country, in your community, please don't force it onto somebody. Okay. Look for solutions. That's where I meant adaptability. Okay. So we went back to our male trainer and we told him that these women have these reservations. Okay. What do we do about it? Is there any solution to it? Again, ideas. Okay. Solutions. Always think and talk about solutions because problems are never going to end. Trust me on this. I am in this space since the past 5 years, and working in Pakistan is not a joke. Okay, so always talk about solutions. Plan A doesn't work. What do we do? Plan B. Plan B doesn't work. Plan C. So this man basically suggested a solution that he's going to bring his wife, who would work as an assistant for him, with him, for this project. And we went back to our village. We proposed this idea that if there is going to be a couple who's going to train you, is that okay with you now? And they were like, sure, bring it on. Okay. So we started this off last year in June. And then we arranged some funds. The funds got approved this year. We did the pilot test last year as well. We did the pilot test this year as well, because obviously there is a huge financial cost to it. Okay. These things are costly. Even if you do it voluntarily, your time, your effort, all the efforts and time and resources you put, there is an opportunity cost to that, right? So always plan it in a way that even if it doesn't work, do a prototype and then launch it on a full-fledged platform. And remember, your small wins can also multiply your efforts in the long run. So think long-term approach. Don't think short-term. Because if you have a vision, if you have, a lot, if you are, somebody who thinks long-term, these short-term setbacks would not demotivate you. And then this year, we started off. I'm so grateful for this OMLAS opportunity because it really served as a Kickstarter. And I was like, Whether I get the OMLA's fund or not, I will definitely pitch it again to donors, and I'm going to talk to my community again and then see if it happens. And it did happen. So 3.5 months, proper, technical training. And then, we launched it. And let me show you our page where you can follow our work as well. Um, 1 second. Okay, so let me show you the process first of what we are exactly doing. And then I will show you a Facebook page where you can follow our work as well. And if you have any questions in the meanwhile, please feel free to put it in the chat. You can also raise your hand, no problem, because that's how we truly learn. Yeah. Right. Okay, let's have a look.
Years. It's a unique form of block printing, and it's an important part of the culture in southern Pakistan's Sindh province. The traditional method involves some unusual ingredients like camel and cow dung.
अजरक दुनिया में जो प्योर अजरक जो हम बनाते हैं जो इस एरिया में बनती है वो दुनिया में कहीं नहीं बनती.
But these days, customers are buying cheaper, machine-made copies of these shawls. We visited the small town of Bhitsha to see how one traditional Ajrak workshop is still standing. Imran Sumro started learning how to make Ajrak from his father when he was 10, and they still work together today.
खुद को बहुत खुशनसीबी समझते हैं कि हमें मतलब मेरा जन्म ऐसे खानदान में हुआ जो अजरक सिंध की सकाफत को कैरी ऑन कर रहे हैं.
It all starts with stiff pure cotton called kora.
One of the reasons I really love mechanical engineering, and I think a lot of other mechanical engineers would say the same thing, is that it just...
Workers take the cloth to a nearby stream for its very first wash. They slap the cloth against the riverbanks repeatedly to squeeze out any excess water. Every single step is done by hand. So it can take almost a month to make one shawl. Then it's time for the most famous ingredient, gisi. Camels used to be common in Bhitsha, but these days workers from a nearby town deliver the dung every day. It's mixed with water, baking soda and mustard oil to form a paste called saj. That's what gives Ajrak its musty smell and eventually makes the colors pop.
अब इसमें लगाएंगे तो ये जो कलर होता है ना, कलर इसमें अच्छा बनेगा.
It takes a full bucket to soak 25 sheets. They dunk the fabric into the saj, then coil it again and again to soak up the paste. The cloth is soaked and dried at least 4 times before it goes back into the river for another wash. But they never let the fabric fully dry.
थोड़ा सा उसमें वो वेटनेस रखते हैं. आप 100 सालों के बाद भी आप अगर देखेंगे तो उसमें से आपको खुशबू आएगी, उसमें से आपको बदबू नहीं आएगी.
After the raw fabric is treated for 4 to 5 days, it's finally ready to be stamped.
ये अजरक का मजमूई तौर पर चौथा प्रोसेस हो रहा है और प्रिंटिंग का पहला प्रोसेस हो रहा है और इसको बोलते हैं छुर यानी कि आउटलाइन.
One artisan creates the outline on all 40 pieces in the batch. There are only 3 to 4 traditional patterns that are still in use today. But the workshop can customize designs. A skilled block printer can finish 10 to 12 pieces in a day, but the hard work doesn't always pay off.
हमारे हाथ हम ये कहते हैं कि हमारे हाथ सोने के, लेकिन मैंने इन सोने के हाथ वालों को मतलब जब वो बूढ़े हो जाते हैं तो भीख मांगते हुए भी देखा है और भूखा तड़पते हुए भी देखा है.
A high-end shawl from Imran's workshop costs up to $50, but you can pick up a machine version for about $1.
क्योंकि वो लेकिन हमारे काम में मेहनत बहुत है, काम बहुत है, इसलिए प्राइस भी बहुत ज़्यादा है. मतलब उसके हिसाब से जितने की वो देते हैं उतने का उससे ज़्यादा हमारा कपड़ा आता है कॉटन वाला।
Still, many people can't tell the difference between real and fake adrak, but there are some signs.
वो नकल वाला मिशन वालों का उतरता है, हमारा कपड़ा फट सकता है, कलर नहीं उतरेगा।
Imran says that's because they don't use any chemical dyes.
मसाले होते हैं जो मिक्सचर्स होते हैं वो जो मतलब वो हर्ब्स एंड शर्ब्स हैं, जड़ी बूटियां हैं, मतलब इसमें किसी भी तरह का कोई भी केमिकल यूजेज नहीं है।
For the next step called khat, workers fill the outline with black color. It starts to give the adrak its signature look. Then a worker stamps an herbal paste all over the cloth so that dried cow dung can stick to the fabric. This process, known as khar, protects sections of the adrak that shouldn't be dyed. Now the fabric is ready for its first dye. Slowly, each adrak is dipped into this bubbly dye until it turns a deep navy. Workers take out the soaked sheets and lay them in the sun before they're washed again. The next stage demands a strong fire. Imran's father Muhammad fills a bhatti or clay oven with water along with alizarin pigment and an herb known as sakun.
तो साकल नहीं होगा ना, तो ये रंग नहीं पकड़ेगा।
अभी पाकिस्तान में जो आता है ना वो इंडिया से आता है। इंडिया और पाकिस्तान के जब भी हालात ख़राब होते हैं ये महंगा हो जाता है। बीच में बंद हो गया था ये 2-2.5 महीने, बहुत मुश्किल हो गया, बहुत ज़्यादा मुश्किल हो गया।
Then Muhammad repeatedly dips the adrak into boiling water. More and more pieces go into the bhatti. And eventually they're all left to simmer for at least an hour. Imran checks the pot regularly to make sure each piece is fully submerged. Other pieces are dyed in smaller pots. The patterns start to appear. A worker lays out the adrak by the river the next morning. Then the fabric is dyed, block printed, and washed again to enhance the colors. Each step leaves its mark, with the stark crimson contrasting with the indigo, black, and white. Archaeological records show that adrak has been made in Sindh for over 5,000 years. It dates back to one of the earliest civilizations of the Indus Valley, where Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism flourished. Priest kings wore the fabric over their shoulders in the ancient city of Mohenjo-daro in Sindh. Today, shawls like these are sold throughout Pakistan, but Sindh is still the heart of the craft. There are about 100 workshops in this part of the province that still make adrak the traditional way. Growing up, Imran learned about legendary adrak artisans, and some even belonged to his own family.
नाम सुने, बड़े बड़े कारीगर गुजरे, तो 100 साल से तो उन लोग 100 साल तक के बंदों को तो मैं जानता हूँ। मेरे वालिद साहब का नाम है महमद आजम सुमरो, वो भी अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह मतलब इस एरिया के माने हुए कारीगर है।
But the glory days of this ancient craft are long gone. Cheaper, mass-produced shawls have taken over the market.
तो अभी जो फंक्शंस वगैरह होते हैं या जो भी मतलब जहाँ भी क्वांटिटी में चीज़ें चाहिए होती है ना अजरक, तो वो अब लोगों को वो सस्ते मिल रही है।
To keep up with competition, Imran's family business has diversified.
नेहरू सूट बना लेते हैं, साड़ीज बना लेते हैं, स्टोलर्स बना लेते हैं, कुशन्स बना, मतलब आप अब जो चीज़ भी ऑर्डर करेंगे।
Another change? They've started selling directly to consumers instead of just to local shops, which kept some of the profits.
अभी वो नहीं है, अभी हम फ्री हैंड एग्जीबिशंस करते हैं, ऑनलाइन काम करते हैं।
The new business model has helped his workers too.
और जो कारीगर लोग हैं हमारे, जो मजदूर जो काम करते हैं, वो भी जो 300 रुपये कमा रहे थे मुश्किल से, अब वो 500 600 अगर कोई बंदा अच्छा कार्य करे तो 1000 रुपये भी कमा लेता है अभी।
Imran credits non-profit organizations for training his workers on different techniques.
और उस पे जो इंडिया वालों से भी जो कारीगर लोग हैं वो रश।
All right. So I hope that it gave you a sense of, what the craft is about, how, 5,000 years of history has been maintained. We are still experimenting, by the way. We have partnered with universities now to do more research because we feel that this is not enough. We need to make it more sustainable. We need to grow our own indigo crops at the moment because we are heavily, dependent on import. So if we have our own production, it would be more, beneficial in terms of circularity, where locally produced indigo plants would be used to extract the indigo dye. And obviously more R&D is needed because if we want to certify it as eco-friendly, then we really need to work towards making it more sustainable, using more, naturally produced dyes, and also changing the dye form as well. Because right now the dyes are available in the liquid form, but we really want to make it into a powder format as well, so that it's easier to carry, and to set up this process in some other place as well, so we can make this project more mobile, because right now it's kind of restricted to the village only. So I hope it gave you a sense of what we are doing. Ajrak is the main, the main component, but as Imran also mentioned in the video, we are doing it on shalwar kameez, we're doing it on saris. They cost less because Ajrak is basically a 2.5 meter cloth. It's a kind of a shawl, a kind of a like a white stole, which is printed on both sides, which makes the process up to 16 steps, and it makes the product expensive as well. So to cut down cost, to understand the local market, to understand the local purchasing power of the communities here, we print it on one side, right? Because we wear it in everyday routine, so we don't need to print it on both sides. And secondly, you don't need 2.5 meters of cloth because when you make shalwar or kurta, it just 1.5 to 2 meters max. And then obviously that significantly reduces the steps from 16 to 5. And since the steps are reduced, the labor was reduced, you can do more, you can experiment with more colors. And since we have the primary, we can do secondary and tertiary colors as well. So the idea is that we move towards more, sustainability, so we can actually gain some certifications, and then we can prove that this is 100% sustainable, right? Unless and until we don't have laboratory tests, we cannot claim that the process and the product is sustainable. So it's still a journey. I'm not going to say that we have achieved like a lot, but each tangible step needs to be celebrated. Because if we don't celebrate our small wins, we cannot, enjoy the process. So process needs to be enjoyed. Otherwise, you would easily suffer from burnout. You would feel like, oh, what am I doing? I'm not even receiving tangible results. Always remember that change, especially social change, takes a lot of time in societies. So please give yourself that time, enjoy the process, celebrate your small wins, and hopefully, with time, your efforts would definitely gain a momentum. Trust me on this, diversifying from Ajrak to everyday clothes, it was not easy. I've been a part of Imran Somro's journey as well. It takes years and years. But often at times, a lot of people ask me, even here, that, we have an idea, but it's not perfect. We don't have a marketing team. We don't have this. We don't have that. How do we start? And I always tell them that when I started in COVID, all right? I registered my company in 2021, thinking that one day we would definitely be able to meet each other, travel to places, and be able to do projects, right? So think long term, and people would obviously demotivate you. They would tell you that, oh, you don't have a team, you don't have finances, what would you do? But believe on your strengths. Remember to collaborate. I'm not really good with the legality matters. I'm not good with financial matters. I'm not super good with marketing matters. But that is okay. Collaborate with people, bring people on board who come with different skill sets. I don't know why, but I think it's a very South Asian thing of being insecure, of being envious. and being like, oh, why is this person ahead of me, and why is this person, has achieved so much. Collaborate, build bridges, and that way you can easily and accelerate your impact. Because think about the long-term goal. You want to really enhance your communities and your societies, right? So the more the people and the diverse the skill sets, the better. So take it, with a very growth mindset. And obviously, developing this mindset takes time. So I would recommend that you start watching Shark Tank India. It's absolutely phenomenal. And Shark Tank, US and Pakistan, if you're interested, you would really feel motivated, from all of these young entrepreneurs who come up with these crazy ideas and are jugarus, and, they pivot, but they don't give up. And yes, I feel that social enterprise works well for me because, since the day I started my work, I was very, headstrong in my head that I'm not going to be dependent on donors' money. If the donors' money comes, that is good. We would use it for, continuous training and development and capacity building of our stakeholders. But what if it doesn't? What then? Do we shut our, industrial unit? Do we shut down our programs? No. So we registered our social enterprise as a for-profit model so that we also earn some revenue that we can inject back into our project. This is something that works for me, might not work well for you. So please evaluate your options before you, get the registrations process in place. But I always advise that you do something. Even if it's not a perfect idea, you start off with it. And then there's a lot of learning that will just come along the way and along the journey. And you meet people and you exchange ideas and you collaborate. So things eventually fall into place. Even if it's not perfect, it's completely all right. Just start. Okay. Yeah, this is it from my side. If you have any questions, concerns, some burning thoughts, I'm here available. The floor is open. Thank you so much again, Nihal, and thank you so much everyone for patiently, listening to me.
Thank you, Zara. I think I have a few thoughts and one question also. So, firstly, the day went by on it's kind of the first 2 days of this orientation camp. We're looking at discovering ourselves, and then what are we going to do, and then today we also had a session on storytelling, and I think your session is a complete bridge, I would say, to kind of take that, and then move one step ahead to design thinking. And I think the video you showcased was also really interesting to see how we are, you have these kind of entrepreneurial projects can um, have these intersections of sustainability, then the history, tradition, and also uplift the livelihood of the community members there, right? So I think this is a perfect example of what we also aspire to do through our projects. And yeah, thank you for that. um, Also, this now coming to the question would be how, in the video when we saw looked at it, we looked at the conventional method where a lot of, almost everything was done by men. Now in your project, when you're working with women, what was the, I mean, you gave a gist, but how was it, what were the steps before you actually even had to make that decision? And obviously design thinking comes there, but if you can break it down for us,
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry I don't have a video of, the project that we are doing. It's still like bits and pieces, so we have to assemble it and edit it. But once it's ready, because we are planning on doing like a professional videography shoot for it, so I'm definitely going to share it with you, and then you can share with the participants here. Um, so Khyber village is in district Matiari, where all of these processes are already being done by men. It's just one village, which is around, I think, 150 to 200 people, 10 to 11 families who are engaged in this process. So our village is also in the vicinity of the same district. All right. Um, so like I mentioned before as well, when we sat with the women, we asked them, what do you do to bring that incremental money into the household? Because there are no opportunities. It's a very remote village. It's 3 hours from, Karachi city. So, there's, even if they come to Karachi, they would work as housemates, right? And that is not a respectable profession in our part of the world. And they are, not paid. They don't have any health insurance. They are sexually exploited. They are, like their labor is also exploited. Um, so what are the possibilities? So we did a survey and we realized that Ajrak block print process is already happening in Matiari, the district itself. And Khyber happens to be there. So how about we initiate a project where women can, work in their own village with dignity, because they were working in the nearby banana farms as day laborers, earning what, 100, 200 rupees, which I don't know how much it is in dollars. But 100, 200 is a very pathetic amount, especially if you're working in the field from the morning till the sunset, especially when you are menstruating, and especially when these women have, they're pregnant, they're expecting, right? In temperatures which can go above 50 degrees Celsius between the months of May till September, because that's when rice and cotton cultivation also happens in Sindh. So, when we sat with them, they told us about all of these issues, right? And they are facing like severe health issues, and we have very primary healthcare systems, healthcare services which are available there. There are no proper hospitals in Matiari. They have to travel 3 hours to come to Karachi city, which is, again, traffic issues, multiple issues to access a hospital. So things are detrimental. So, the thing is poverty, when people are in absolute poverty, not just affects their livelihood, but it also affects their access to education, their access to healthcare, multiple problems. Okay. So we asked them, we said, if we give you an alternative where you don't have to work in the fields, would that give you some sort of a relief? And they said yes. So then, we did a survey. We realized that this work is already happening, but it's such a shame. I mean, I would have to accept it. It's such a shame that, even if you look at the entrepreneurial climate in Pakistan, women are very few in numbers. If you look at gender equality index of Pakistan, it's 145th out of 146. So the numbers are, really shocking. And that is where we thought that how about we introduce a project which is already being done, but this would be a breakthrough because now women would be involved in the process, right? So we went and we did a survey of the village as well. And we told them, because they do embroidery at home, they cannot afford to go to designers and all, right? So for dowry, for everyday wear, they do their own stitching, they do their own embroidery. And we looked at their work. So, okay, so I realized that they already have a sense, okay? Because, all of these embroidery and patterns and artwork are passed down generations to generations. I'm sure it's the same in India as well, like dadi, nani, and then, daughter-in-law, daughters, and then, it is passed down generations. It's the same process. Oral history is what we call it. So, हमने ये बोला कि हम कोई external project लाएं, fancy terms with all of these, IMF and World Bank does in Pakistan, not sustainable, doesn't work well. NGO आता है, project कराता है, 6 महीना, 8 महीना, 12 महीने, and then they're out. And then खलास, there's no, project reporting, किसके बाद क्या होगा, what do we do, how do we make it long term? So it has to be community driven, community led. The community needs to be involved in the decision making. And I learned these processes when I was working with Al Khan Dual Support Program for Pakistan in Gilgit-Baltistan region. Okay. So AKRSP has worked wonders in terms of community stakeholders. And I think you should definitely check their development model. It's considered a success in Pakistan. I'm also going to write the name here in the chat. And that's, where we truly learned how to engage with local communities, okay? Because it's a very colonialist mindset, जिसमें आप एक चीज उनके ऊपर थोपें, and then the communities, they don't absorb it, they don't own it, and that project would never be sustainable. So co-creation is what we always suggest, okay? Yes, you do have a thought कि ये चीजें हमें करनी चाहिए, There was also an alternative project, by the way, which I forgot to mention, was the banana fiber one. But yeah, exactly. Yeah, Aga Khan Development Network is working in India as well and is doing amazing job. So you can follow the work which they're doing in India. Um, and the banana fiber का problem ये है कि we are still testing it. अभी तक जो thread है वो spin नहीं हुआ, so we don't have the thread itself. It might be there in India, but we don't have the banana fiber thread yet. The university in Faisalabad is still doing their R&D. So we were like, this would be a comparatively newer idea, and we cannot do it with a community which is desperate to move out of poverty. Okay, and if we if we want to do an experiment, then we do it an experiment in a village where there are some other models of income generation and income streams which are parallel working for this community. Because what if it fails? It's a newer idea. It's not test run in Pakistan. It's still going through the R&D process. If it fails, then you're gone. Okay. The community then develops a trust deficit. And that is not something that you want to play with, because you always remember you're working with humans. I go back to my design thinking mindset idea: empathize. When you have an empathetic attitude, you always realize if this doesn't work, then you there would be a trust deficit, and this community would never let you enter the village, let alone do an intervention. Okay. So Ajrak block print process was already being sold, since the past 10 years. Of all of us Sindhi community, our overseas Sindhi community, overseas Pakistani community has been very instrumental in helping us, brand ourselves, sell ourselves, which is why, the Business Insider people came and did a video on the community, right? So we were like, this is already a successful model, but it's not exactly replicated. Okay, we still have to make it contextualized. So when we introduced this to, for the women, we did like a 10 days पायलट, ताकि थोड़ा सा हैंड्स ऑन एक्सपीरियंस आए उनको समझ में। हम भी तो ऑब्जर्व कर रहे हैं कि उनको समझ में आ रहा है या नहीं कि नेचुरल डाई कैसे बनाना है, छपाई कैसे करनी है, काउ डंग का कैसे इस्तेमाल करना है। तो बिकॉज इफ दे आर फाइंडिंग इट डिफिकल्ट, इफ दे आर फाइंडिंग इट कॉम्प्लेक्स, and because if you want to do a project, obviously you want to see yourself exiting from that project at some point in time, right? पूरी जिंदगी आप कम्युनिटी की हैंड होल्डिंग नहीं कर सकते हैं। 6 महीने के बाद, 1 साल के बाद, you want to think of an exit. And it's the same with entrepreneurs as well. Okay, when you are founders, शुरू में you do a lot of hustle. You are the marketing guy, you are the operations person, you do everything. But obviously if you want to make it big and you want to scale it up, you would obviously always think about the exit strategy. What if we eliminate Zehra from Dastan Tours and Crafts Private Limited? क्या Dastan Tours and Crafts Private Limited on its own चलेगा? Chalega, amazing. Now you have achieved your goal of making your organization sustainable. So think about the project in similar terms. 1, 2 साल, 3 साल, 5 साल आप मेहनत करें, no problem. But always think about your exit strategy. What if I eliminate myself? What if I eliminate my team from this project? Would the project run? If your answer is yes, then it's sustainable. Okay? तो हमारे कुछ पुराने experiences बुरे रहे हैं NGOs के साथ, जिसमें एनजीओज पैसा बहुत उठाती है वर्ल्ड बैंक से, आईएमएफ से, यूनेस्को से एंड व्हाट नॉट. दे डू प्रोजेक्ट्स इन पाकिस्तान, they make a lot of money out of it. Sure, no problem. Obviously they have their staff to pay salaries too, no worries. But at least आप काम तो ऐसा करें ना कि वो पॉवर्टी से बाहर आए, या जेंडर इक्वालिटी में हम 145 से आगे तो बढ़े ना. अब हम सेकंड वर्स्ट कंट्री इन टर्म्स ऑफ जेंडर इक्वालिटी. दैट्स नॉट अ नाइस number to have. It's shameful. So, we from the start, we had a very straightforward discussion with the community as well, that we are going to co-create this project with you, but eventually you would have to run it. You would have to own it. ठीक है, रिसोर्सेज हम आपके लिए मोबिलाइज कर देंगे, डोनर्स हम आपके लिए इनिशियली मोबिलाइज कर देंगे, इवेंचुअली आपने चलाना है. Okay, so obviously it's a process. It's just been a year. We have a long way ahead to go. But what I'm trying to say is that we have already started thinking about eliminating us from the equation. Because till the time we still have a skin in the game, हम अभी भी उस process में हम अभी भी उनके लिए सारा काम कर रहे हैं, it means that your project is not sustainable. खुद मुख्तार बनाना है, self sustaining बनाना है अपने project को, उनको अपने self dependent बनाना है, so that they can then lead it, after you take a back step from the project. That's where true sort of sustainability is like. So yeah, I mean, I hope it answers your question, Nihal. Technical training ho chuki hai. They are producing the crafts. We are selling it online. They're also selling it in exhibitions. But yes, there is a long way to go. So they have opened their bank accounts as well, which is a breakthrough in their village because it's the first time that women have their bank accounts. Women are signatories on their checkbooks, and it has brought a lot of excitement. So the last time I visited the village, they were like, give us work. So then we can check the online banking apps and, we can see money pouring in. They're extremely excited. But now another challenge is to train them to prevent them from, financial frauds, because there are online frauds, there are online spams, there are all of these, money frauds happening. तो अब उनको उस पे ट्रेन करना है, तो it's a never ending process. The hustle is there. I'm not going to say it's forever, but yeah, I mean, new challenges, new opportunities is what I say. Now we are designing a project on their financial and digital literacy. So how can they, be literate enough digitally and financially, ताकि, they can market their products themselves on our page, their page as well, on different marketplaces as well. But then be able to also manage their accounts, debit, credit, खर्च कितना हो रहा है, कितना save कर रही हैं, and then, obviously saving money for their children's education and their healthcare.
Yeah, thanks, Zara. I think you answered my follow-up question also on the exit strategy. It's very important to have that. But I also open up now the floor to everyone. If anyone has questions or wants to talk to Zara. Yeah. Yeah, Ramiz.
Hello. Zara, you said that the initiative that you are doing is working in a for-profit structure. In that case, with the tax implications there, wouldn't have a not-for-profit a better way to go? And mainly, what is the reason for going for a for-profit?
Excellent question, Ramiz. Yes, so I don't know about the facilities which are available for women entrepreneurs in India. So please, I am sorry about my ignorance. Please, you can always check with your government website on what is available for you. But in Pakistan, for the first 5 years, if you are a woman entrepreneur, if the company is registered under your name, then for the first 2 years, you don't have to pay any tax. Obviously, you have to file your returns. You don't have to pay tax. There's a tax leverage, especially if the business is registered under your name. And for the next 3 years, you only pay tax if you make a profit. Okay. So we are anticipating that in the next year, we would reach a break even, because obviously, even though if it's a donor amount, it is an investment, right? So with the profits that we would earn, we would obviously showcase it when we file our returns that this is basically, doing a break even. And then obviously when we move ahead, then we can, we would be in a position to pay our tax. So yes, I took some mentoring recently, and I also realized that if you want to do it for the purpose of, okay, let me rephrase this. When you register your social enterprise as an NGO, you don't have any shareholding. Okay. So whatever your NGO would earn in terms of, selling your crafts, selling your services, should technically be reinvested back into your organization. Now, it can take any form. It can take the form of paying salaries to your employees. It can, take the form of scaling up, like training more women, training more stakeholders. You can reinvest that money back into R&D, and that is okay. Okay. My long-term vision was also to raise investments. So I registered our social enterprise as a private limited, because in the future, I want to do more. and I always believe on, doing my work first and then claiming it later. So, but the vision is broad, not just limited to just one block print work that we are doing. So, which is why I registered it as a for-profit entity.
Okay,
Yeah.
essentially, it is something that you have a long-term view that you will be raising capital on it. At the same time, registering as for-profit, does it help you to raise capital too? Do NGOs raise uh, capital in the form of loans?
I don't think that NGOs can apply for loans. NGOs always seek donors' money
Right.
or organizational or like family.
Trust funds.
Yeah, yeah. But if you have a private limited or a sole proprietor, no, sorry, no. Just for private limited, yes, you can raise investments because then you can sell your company's shares to an investor, so that what the profit you make, they can take a share of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
No
Also,
problem. My
also we have
pleasure.
this
Yeah.
model. I wanted to ask you, we have this model under the Section 8 company. It's kind of a blend between an NGO and a social enterprise. So I wanted to ask if that is also available in Pakistan. Like,
No, it's sad, and we have a lot of civil society lobbyists who are having a dialogue with the government, but it's obviously would take a lot of time.
okay,
We can only register our company as a sole proprietor, partnership deed, or private limited if you are working in the private sector sphere where you want to make profits. It's a for-profit entity. If you want to have it in a non-for-profit way where you don't have shareholding, then it's going to be an NGO. There is no such
okay,
thing as a social enterprise here.
okay,
So,
okay,
yeah. So if you have a social enterprise which makes money, you registered it as a business. If it's a social enterprise that does not make money, or if it makes money but it's reinvested back into your project, then it's registered as a NGO. Yeah. I think
okay.
there is some legislature in India which allows social enterprises to be registered, right? Yeah,
Yeah, under
that's
the
amazing.
Section 8. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, someone's hand was raised. I'm sorry I interrupted in between, but please go ahead.
Yeah, no problem, Nehal. I just wanted to ask about like it is really a great thing to empower women and raising the level of their engagement in the financial independence. I just wanted to ask that is there any program for the other genders as well to enhance their engagements in the in this sustainability program?
Yeah, a very important question, Kirti. So, Kirti, in our part of the world, even raising awareness of, gender equality between men and women is like the starting point for us. And then, we bring in the transgender into the equation. So in the village, there is patriarchal mindset which is dominant. So I shared in the project progress report as well, Nihar, and I completely forgot to mention it right now in the presentation. When we trained these 15 women, we also had one man assisting them in the process. So that, the kids, because the kids are just there in the project, right? They are just roaming around, watching what's happening. And getting the man to wash the clothes because it's very labor intensive was not just the only reason why we involved him. We also involved him because he was also looking for an opportunity, but I also looked at it from a very gendered perspective, where I thought that if this man and the women work together, even if it's one guy, no problem. This would set a precedent for these kids who are growing up in the village, that women and men can work together. This has never happened, ever. Okay. Uh, I mean, if somebody is a trans in that community, I might not know about it. I am sorry about that, but I think there would be, but trans community don't really declare their gender identities that easily. So we might have missed that in the broader society that we work in. But yes, in the future, moving ahead, we definitely want to raise enough grants or investments so we can do it in Karachi city as well. Because right now we have a dominant population of trans community in Karachi, and they mostly either beg, unfortunately, or they're involved in sex work because they don't have any other means of making money, and they are, you know, they are disowned by their own families. So this is something that is definitely in my mind, and we will work on it moving forward. But at the moment, no, I haven't involved anybody because, in the village, it's just men and women, and even if there are trans in, the broader district, I'm not aware about it, unfortunately. Yeah. So I hope this answers your question.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing it. I just wanted to ask about uh, the video which we were watching. It was about handmade dyes. So I just wanted to ask that in the contemporary circumstances, people are not that much interested in, like, they demand new modern designs and things. So is there any alternatives, because the production of these shawls are not that much in the numbers. So is there any alternative for this thing, or is there any problem they are facing, like, maybe?
Can you repeat your question again? I'm so sorry, I did not get a sense of it.
I was asking about the handmade dye वाला जो program था. Under that program, is there any problem which the people have been facing, or is there any alternative for the current scenarios, circumstances? Like, maybe, like, people are not that much interested in these
Mm-hmm.
additional things, because as it was mentioned that the cost is also very high, so people would not uh, would take the cheaper thing instead of this costly thing. So is there any alternative for this? Because they mentioned that it is made up of hand, that's why the cost is high. So is there any machine for it, or are they thinking about the alternatives?
Yeah, good question, Kirti. कीर्ति, अजरक प्राइमरीली इज एक्सपेंसिव क्योंकि 2.5 मीटर का कपड़ा होता है जो कि दोनों साइडों पर प्रिंट होता है। ठीक है। तो अजरक ब्लॉक प्रिंट प्रोसेस में 15 से 16 स्टेप्स इन्वॉल्व होते हैं। अजरक को बनने में 15 से 20 दिन लगते हैं, जो कि वो वीडियो में बता रहे थे कि 1 महीना लग जाता है। लेकिन उसी के ऑल्टरनेटिव में हम जो एवरीडे शलवार कमीज दुपट्टा पहनते हैं ना पाकिस्तान में, कुर्ते पहनते हैं, कुर्तीज पहनती हैं लड़कियां शहर में, वेयर वी डोंट नेसेसरीली वेयर स्टोल्स दुपट्टास, हम नहीं लेते। तो इसकी बहुत डिमांड है पाकिस्तान में, क्योंकि होता ये है कि अजरक दोनों साइड्स पे प्रिंट होती है ना। उसके जो प्रोसेस है वो 16 है। लेकिन अगर आप शलवार कमीज बनाती है ना, तो यू जस्ट नीड टू हैंड ब्लॉक प्रिंट ऑन वन साइड, नॉट द अदर साइड ऑफ द क्लॉथ, इफ दैट मेक सेंस। ठीक है। मैं आपको कुछ कपड़ा दिखाती हूँ। जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल, ये एक ड्रेस है ना, तो ओके, यू वुड नॉट बी एबल टू सी मी। हाँ, तो ये यहाँ पे प्रिंट हुआ है, यहाँ पे प्रिंट नहीं हुआ, क्योंकि ये आपका इनर साइड होता है कपड़े का। ठीक है। ये साइड प्रिंट हुआ है, करेक्ट। तो इसी तरीके से हम जो अब हमने इस प्रोसेस को रिड्यूस किया है 16 स्टेप से 5 स्टेप्स पे। तो उससे आपका लेबर कम लग रहा है, आपको डाई कम चाहिए, कपड़ा कम चाहिए। उससे हमारा जो प्रोसेस है वो क्विकर हो गया है, सस्ता हो गया है। तो अगर अजरक शॉल ढाई 3,000 4,000 रुपए की बिकती है ना, तो कुर्ते शलवार कमीज 2-2.5 हजार में मिल जाते हैं। एंड ट्रस्ट मी व्हेन आई से दिस, अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल आर बाइंग इट मैडली, क्योंकि एक तो हमने अवेयरनेस बहुत की है सिंस द पास्ट कपल ऑफ इयर्स। ठीक है। वी हैव बीन मार्केटिंग दिस प्रोडक्ट लेफ्ट राइट एंड सेंटर। और मैंने आपको जैसे पहले भी बताया कि एक दफा जब हमने अवेयरनेस पैदा की, तो हमारा जो यूथ को हमने मोबिलाइज किया कि आप इस बारे में बात करो। सो देयर इज समथिंग दैट आई डिड नॉट मेंशन बिकॉज वी हैड टाइम लिमिटेशंस, वाज वी डू यूथ कैंप्स एवरी ईयर। ठीक है। हम हेरिटेज यूथ कैंप्स करवाते हैं, हेरिटेज डिस्कवरी टूर उसका नाम होता है, जिसमें भी सिलेक्ट 50 the cream participants from all across Pakistan. It's a highly competitive process. हर बच्चा नहीं आता उसमें हमारे पास। ठीक है। तो उनको हम उस प्रोसेस से गुजारते हैं. लास्ट ईयर वी डिड इट इन सिंध इन नवंबर. सो वी डिड सॉ द अजरक ब्लॉक प्रिंट प्रोसेस. जब वो इस प्रोसेस से गुजर जाते हैं ना, तो हम उनको सुवेनियर के तौर पे भी देते हैं. नाउ रिमेंबर दीज किड्स आर कमिंग फ्रॉम ऑल अक्रॉस पाकिस्तान. तो अपने इलाकों में जाके ना उसको प्रमोट करते हैं, इसके ऊपर अवेयरनेस देते हैं. फिर ये जो बिजनेस इंसाइडर की जो मैंने आपको वीडियो दिखाई है उनको दिखाते हैं. तो एक शॉल जो आपको 5,000 4,000 रुपए में मिल रही है ना, वो आपको 2 पीस सूट्स, 3 पीस सूट्स, 1 पीस कुर्ती आपको 1,500 2,000 1,000 रुपए में मिल जाती है. तो लोग खरीदते हैं. तो अब मुझे बल्कि कभी कभी हैरत होती है. कल भी मैं ये सोच रही थी, आई वाज एट द एयरपोर्ट. तो मैं ये सोच रही थी क्योंकि आई सॉ पीपल अराउंड मी इन सम अदर प्रोविंस व्हिच इज नॉट सिंध. एंड आई सॉ पीपल वेयरिंग अजरक ब्लॉक प्रिंट सूट्स लाइक इन देयर नॉर्मल अटायर. एंड इट गेव मी सो मच हैप्पी, सो मच जॉय. मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई कि लोग इसको ओन कर रहे हैं. तो जब ये बच्चे अवेयरनेस देते हैं ना, तो वी यूज ऑल सॉर्ट्स ऑफ सोशल मीडिया, टिकटॉक. हमारे पास यंग बच्चे इन्फ्लुएंसर्स भी हैं. तो हम इनको ट्रेन करते हैं कि यार आप सोशल मीडिया पे इतनी सारी चीजें पोस्ट करते हो ना, तो पॉजिटिव चीजें भी पोस्ट करो. हर चीज नेगेटिव नहीं हो रही है मुल्क में. ठीक है, अच्छी चीजें भी डालो जो आप सीखते हो. तो दे हैव रियली क्रिएटेड अ मोमेंटम where our overseas Pakistani community, our overseas Sindhi community take ownership of the cultural craft. कि ये हमारी पहचान है, हमारी आइडेंटिटी है, हमारी शनाख्त है. This is what we identify with. And then we have these foreign traveler groups जो कि आते हैं मोहनजोदड़ो विजिट करते हैं. तो हम उनको लेके जाते हैं कि ये देखें यार हमारा क्राफ्ट कितना पुराना है. तो आप जब अच्छी चीज बनाते हैं ना, तो मैं सबको यही कहती हूँ, मैं खुद भी, जस्ट मार्केट इट शेमलेसली, पोस्ट इट एवरीवेयर, क्रिएट अ मोमेंटम. दैट्स हाउ यू क्रिएट अवेयरनेस. इसीलिए निहाल को हमारे प्रोजेक्ट के बारे में पता है. टेक ओनरशिप ऑफ योर प्रोजेक्ट एंड ऑलवेज एजुकेट योर ऑडियंस. तो मैं आपको थोड़ा सा ना सोशल मीडिया मार्केटिंग के बारे में भी एक चीज दिखाना चाहती हूँ. आई एम जस्ट गोइंग टू क्विकली शेयर माय स्क्रीन नाउ. हमने ये जो पेज बनाया है ना, इसमें आप देखें, हम सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं हमारे आर्टिजान हेरिटेज को. एंड दिस इज ऑल अबाउट दीज वेमेन. हम वीडियोस डालते हैं कि जो ना कैसे बन रहा है. ये हमने सीखा है कि सोशल मीडिया मार्केटिंग कैसे करते हैं. तो एंड दिस इज ऑल ऑर्गेनिक, वी आर नॉट डूइंग एनीथिंग पेड. हम फेसबुक को 1 रुपए भी पे नहीं करते. ठीक है, आई एम अगेंस्ट पेड मार्केटिंग. आप क्या करें, मैं मना नहीं करती, लेकिन ऑर्गेनिक मार्केटिंग में ज्यादा सेल्स आपकी बनती है. ये मेरा पिछले 5 साल का जो ना एक्सपीरियंस मुझे सिखाया है. तो हम देखते दिखाते हैं कि देखें, हमने केसू फूल डाला. ठीक है, हमने लेमन का जो है ना छिलका डाला. ड्राइड लेमन्स जो ब्राउन होते हैं हमने वो डाला. हमने सोडा डाला. हमने ये सारे रेसिपी मतलब मिक्सचर्स डाले. एंड वी अटेन दिस कलर. हेलो, सॉरी, इज माय वॉइस ऑडिबल?
Yeah, it's audible. We can
ओके
hear you.
ऑसम, सॉरी, या ऑसम. ओके. तो हम ना बताते हैं, एजुकेट भी करते हैं अपनी ऑडियंस को कि देखें ये जो एक मेल है कैसे असिस्ट कर रहा है, वो इंडिगो कैसे उसमें भिगो रहा है कपड़ों को. एंड देन दीज वेमेन आर ऑल्सो ड्राइंग इट एट द सेम टाइम. एंड यू सी ऑल ऑफ दीज किड्स. यू नो अब मैं ये नहीं कहती कि जेंडर इक्वालिटी एक दिन में आ जाएगी, बट व्हेन दीज किड्स सी मेन वेमेन वर्किंग टुगेदर, तो वो इस बात को एटलीस्ट जब बड़े हो जाएंगे खुद, तो हम उनमें तो चेंज एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं ना. तो सो वी अच्छा, ये तो खैर दिस इज सम अदर क्राफ्ट ऑफ सिंध दैट वी प्रमोट. बट या, सो हम कपड़ों को जो है ना वो धूप के अंदर सुखाते हैं. हमारे पास वी हैव अ लॉट ऑफ सनलाइट थ्रू आउट द ईयर. Like 80% of the days in the year we have plenty of sun, which is a blessing. तो हम एजुकेट करते हैं कि देखिए उसको हम धूप में सुखाते हैं. हम कोई फैंसी मशीन्स नहीं यूज करते हैं. तो यू नो and yeah, we also tell we also educate our people that when you stitch these clothes, a lot of दर्जी के पास आप जाते हो तो कुछ ना कुछ मटेरियल तो आपका बच जाता है ना. तो we reuse it to create these bed sheets, to create quilts, जिसको हम अपनी जबान में रली कहते हैं. so quilts हम बनाते हैं, बेड स्प्रेड्स बनाते हैं, बेड शीट्स बनाते हैं, रग्स बनाते हैं. तो हम एजुकेट करते हैं कि this is what we do. These are women, they're stamping. We don't show their faces because of this is the cultural context. और अगेन आप पिक्चर्स में देखें, सो यू विल सी women and men together. ठीक है. तो इस तरह से अगर आप प्रमोट करते हैं, चीजें आप डालते हैं सोशल मीडिया पे, अवेयरनेस क्रिएट करते हैं कि देखें, अगर आप जब इंडिगो, सॉरी नॉट इंडिगो, आप जब पता नहीं, एक डाई है रेड कलर का जिसमें हम 2-3 चीजें मिलाते हैं. वी ऑल्सो एड द पील्स ऑफ द पोमीग्रेनेट फ्रूट. ठीक है. वी ऑल्सो एड Oh my God, how did I forget that name? We also add the beetroot. Okay, we add beetroot, we add dried lemons, we add the skins, the peels of the pomegranate fruit that we eat to achieve this sharp red color on the cloth. And then हम इसको naturally ही पकाते हैं using the locally available wood जो कि हमारे पास है, because we don't have liquid gas. तो इस तरह से अब जब लगाते हैं ना तो it creates a lot of momentum. And then from the leftover pieces, we don't just make the quilts but we also make jewelry. तो हम ज्वेलरी भी बनाते हैं इस पे तो इंडिया में बहुत काम हुआ है फैब्रिक ज्वेलरी पर अब यहाँ पर भी हम मोमेंटम क्रिएट करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि लेफ्ट ओवर मटेरियल को, कपड़े को आप ना फेंकें, इसको रीयूज करें, इसको हाई एंड प्रोडक्ट्स की तरफ लेकर जाएं. So, anyways, the idea is that obviously I wouldn't say that we are like 100% circular, 100% sustainable. No, we are still trying to find alternatives कि हमारी जो बहती हुई नदियां हैं उनको हम pollute ना करें. We are trying to designate spaces so that whatever water is used, we can then reuse it to flush the toilets, for example, to connect it to the water waste management system जो कि nearby city में है, so that उससे साफ पानी निकले, then we can use it for our crops. So again, I'm not going to make any big claims, but things are in process, and hopefully we will achieve sustainability, because Asian cultures were always meant to be sustainable. Unfortunately, it's the Western model of industrialization, commercialization, capitalism जिसने हमारी societies को सिर्फ तबाह किया है. So we need to regain our own indigenous wisdom, but also be able to bring in technology, bring in our own expertise to continue that momentum. So yeah, demand बहुत है कीर्ति. We are not able to meet the demand, unfortunately, which is why we are very concerned about increasing the supply of human resource. Because there are so many people in Pakistan who want who want these clothes. They are cheap. Our branded clothes are so expensive in the shopping malls, and they are not even of good quality. तो हमारा product जो malls में कपड़े मिलते हैं उनसे भी काफी cheap है. Malls में if you buy a three-piece suit, it's what, 8,000 rupees, 9,000 rupees. It's so expensive. Even I don't wear it. So, and also, आप जो भी बना रहे हैं ना, whatever product or service you are engaged with, carry it with you. I mostly wear block print suits. Because if you don't own your own brand, if you don't own your own products or service, who else will? Yeah.
Very
Thank you.
interesting.
Very
Thank you.
good to hear.
Sorry,
Any
Kirti,
other
we
questions,
didn't hear you.
concerns?
Yeah, we can take maybe a final one question in the interest of time. And if anyone wants to share anything, yeah, please go ahead.
Before anyone else poses a question, I had a follow-up question
Yeah.
to what Katie asked. What did you have a market survey of how big the market for Ajrak prints is in Pakistan?
Ramiz, unfortunately, we don't have any concrete data. So, you have a total addressable market. We did not have the numbers for that, unfortunately. So we did the total achievable market that we can possibly have. So there is a TAM, there is a TOM, and there is one more, measure that entrepreneurs use. I'm just going to post it here in the chat. But yeah, overall एक idea था कि textiles की कितनी बड़ी market है पाकिस्तान में. And organic space में अगर हम जाते हैं तो yes, the market is 20 to 30% of that. But initially, when things started off, I remember like 15 years ago, there was a huge question in in Pakistan के जो sustainable products हैं ना वो बहुत महंगे होते हैं. तो वो सिर्फ आपका जो elite है ना वो खरीद सकता है, जो बहुत पैसे वाले हैं, जो बहुत अमीर हैं. So we questioned that narrative, and again, through social media marketing, through our own efforts, we educated our, consumers that it doesn't necessarily need to be expensive. You can find low-cost solutions as well. We just have to play it smart.
Okay,
And you keep pivoting, yeah.
Right, and also coming to the marketing part, when you say it was organic marketing, so no money was spent on marketing at all.
Social media marketing, no. But yeah, when it comes to exhibition and all, definitely. We have a little marketing budget for that, definitely. And we use some money for branding as well. I feel like branding is more important than marketing because when you start your work, there would always be other competitors who would come. And I've मतलब मुझे भी बहुत लोग कहते हैं कि there are so many other Ajrak brands as well which sell the same thing. And I have heard this feedback coming from a lot of my other Indian friends as well कि इंडिया में भी बहुत बिकता है, and I'm like sure, no problem, but if you work on your branding, if you work, आपके face value पे भी बहुत सारी चीजें जा रही होती हैं. तो if you are good with your storytelling, with your branding, that would keep you in the longer race. I mean I strongly believe in that. बिकॉज मैं टूरिज्म स्पेस में भी काम करती हूँ ना, तो हमारे प्राइवेट सेक्टर में 250 कंपनीज रजिस्टर्ड हैं, बट देर आर आई थिंक अराउंड 25 कंपनीज हु गेट अ लॉट ऑफ क्लाइंटेल, एंड इट्स बिकॉज दे वर्क really well on their branding and continuous learning and continuous R&D and understanding new markets, understanding new products. I think that is essential for the long run. Yeah. बट या सोशल मीडिया मार्केटिंग, नो वी डोंट डू पेड एड्स, बिकॉज जब हमने पेड एड्स करना स्टार्ट किया तो हमने ये भी रियलाइज किया था कि फेसबुक एल्गोरिदम्स हैड चेंज्ड and it was wasting a lot of money of ours. So we thought that no, it's just not worth it, right? How about we tap our resources into places that can, do wonders for us. So
Thank you so much. I do have more
LinkedIn.
questions, but uh, keeping
Yeah,
in
yeah,
mind
please
the,
go ahead. No problem.
keeping in mind the time restraints, I will definitely pass it on to someone else if someone else has any questions.
So yeah, any more questions? Zara, you also anything that you'd want to share? Um, I would say I would actually recommend you to what is one message you would uh, send to this cohort that we have here right now with you in terms of one word of advice, kind of a thing, in terms of your entrepreneurial journey or anything that you
I
want to
don't
start.
have any advisors, Nihal.
Yeah.
I don't have any advisors, but I would always, just share that you're never too young to start off anything. Like, this young girl, 8 years old from India, who's, creating a momentum in terms of, planting trees. What's her name? Prasidi.
Prasiddhi Singh.
Prasidi. Yeah,
Prasiddhi
Prasidi
Singh, yeah.
Singh. She's amazing, right? And we
Yeah.
have Greta Thunberg as well. You're never too young to create a change. When I started, a lot of people told me, you have such a good degree. Why don't you get like a UN job? You can work with USAID and blah blah blah. But I don't know why I had that hunger in me. I always wanted to do something big and something that is beneficial for the community. And मुझे NGO के बारे में बहुत शुरू से पता था because when I was interning with them back in my undergraduate studies, I knew exactly what they were doing. Okay. They were using the poverty as as a sob story कि है देखें कितनी गुर्बत है पाकिस्तान में, women का हाल देखें, ये देखें, वो देखें, गुर्बत है, ये है, वो है. And I knew exactly how they were profiting off, the poverty and the gender equality index. तो मुझे शुरू से उनकी पता था कि ये हो रहा है. And I really wanted to set a benchmark ताकि ये sob stories can convert into success stories और हम ये पॉवर्टी को बेचे ना. आई नो इट साउंड्स हार्श, लेकिन पॉवर्टी को सेल ना करें हम. ठीक है. और ये जो लोन मैकेनिज्म है ना, get loans from USAID, from IMF, from this bank, from that bank. I knew exactly what they were doing. They were indulging us in more and more poverty, right? So I know that a lot of people are okay with taking loans, and I'm not against taking loans, but I always feel like, even if you're taking a loan, you make the community resilient enough that they're not just able to give back that loan, but they're also self-reliant, right? And I also saw some eye-opening practices which were like, if for example, if I'm giving like a chicken, like if I'm giving like a pack of chickens to somebody in the village as a project manager, that's it. That's my that's my job description. लेकिन रियलिटी में ऐसा नहीं होता. रियलिटी में ये होता है कि मैं तुम पे इतना बड़ा एहसान किया ना, 20 साल तक तुम्हारी जो चिकन्स अंडे दे रही है वो तुमने मुझे हर महीने जो है ना 50 अंडे मेरे घर पर पहुंचाने हैं, ऐसा होता है, इन रियलिटी. And I was like, no, this is not done. Okay, if you are doing it, then you cannot make these communities bound ki, we are not colonial masters ke they are, supposed to serve us throughout their lives. This is, I think this is in throwing them into more poverty and more subjugation. So yeah, I started off on my own. It's been a challenging journey. I'm not going to say, I'm not going to deny the challenges hai, but solutions bhi hain. And if you develop a growth mindset from a young age, you can do wonders in your life, trust me. और कभी भी ये नहीं सोचना है कि यार मैं लड़की हूं तो मैं ये नहीं कर सकती हूँ. Yeah, I think this is the biggest limitation that we just put in our own heads. Even when I started, a lot of people, told me that you are a woman, why don't you do like a job in some fancy development organization? You would, work in a fancy office and stuff like that. I still work from home. Okay. I have a balanced routine, obviously, my off screen time, my mental health time, my reading time. I still work from home. I don't have any fancy office. कभी काम करना होता है, go to our national incubation center and work from there, or I go to a coffee shop. I don't have a fancy office. Because I don't believe on wasting money on these, fancy offices and fancy laptops and fancy gadgets. I think that whatever money you have, you can use it really efficiently on your growth and development. आप बहुत कुछ कर सकते हो. You just need to know your priorities. That's it. And you are never too young to start. तो आप कभी अपने साथ भी बैठे, सेल्फ रिफ्लेक्ट भी करें कि मेरी ना लिमिटेशंस क्या हैं, मतलब मेरे मेरी मेरी लिमिटिंग थॉट्स क्या हैं. कि मतलब मैंने अपने बारे में बहुत कुछ सीखा है. मेरे लिमिटिंग थॉट्स ये हैं कि ओ आई डोंट हैव अ टेक्निकल डिग्री सो आई कैन नॉट डू टेक्निकल स्टफ. ओ आई एम अ वुमन सो देर आर लैक ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटीज इन माई कंट्री. ओ आई डोंट कम फ्रॉम अ रिच बैकग्राउंड सो हाउ विल आई mobilize resources to do my projects. Things fall into place. uh, yeah, get incubated. You don't know how to file your tax, learn it, collaborate, learn from people. Just be a student for life and you're good to go. Trust me. And every day you be like कि मुझे कुछ नहीं आता and I'm here to learn and be humble and grow करें, उसी से आप ग्रो करेंगे. आप शार्क टैंक इंडिया में भी आप देखें ना कि शार्क्स के पास बहुत एक्सपीरियंस होता है, पर फिर भी वो कभी कभी पिचेस सुन के इतने हैरान हो जाते हैं कि वाओ, इतनी छोटी उम्र में आपने कैसे इतना सारा फोड़ लिया, आपने जुगाड़ कर लिया, आपने यू किक स्टार्टेड दिस. सो जब वो इतने हम्बल है तो हम क्यों नहीं हो सकते? हमने कौन से कोई इतने बड़े तीर मारे हैं? तो बी हम्बल, बी ग्राउंडेड, बी डाउन टू अर्थ, be ready to learn and be ready to be flexible. uh, and you are good for life, trust me. This entrepreneurial mindset, the growth mindset will take you to places that you would never have imagined. Because I do see the impact of the kind of work I do. मुझे अब वो चीज नजर आती है, पहले तो मुझे भी नहीं पता था because I did not have a mentor. But it's so important to connect with the right people and seek mentorship. बहुत जरूरी है. और वो तभी आएगी जब हम हम्बल रहेंगे और हम बोलेंगे ठीक है हमने थोड़ा बहुत फोड़ लिया है, पर अब और कैसे फोड़ना है इस बारे में आप सोचेंगे. तो या any
Awesome.
any final thoughts, comments, questions?
Yeah, we still have like 5 minutes. So,
Okay. There's no such thing as a wrong question, so if you have anything in your mind, please feel free to ask.
okay, I will check the text also if there are any. Okay, we don't have. Very inspiring, man.
I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, Aim Sang, but thank you so much. That's very sweet of you.
All right, no further questions. Okay, I think I just like to thank you, Zara, for this wonderful session. Firstly, because it's kind of giving a picture, an overall picture of like what could be the next step, in our journeys. At the same time, kind of like the way you showed the social media, the narratives, how you're marketing. This is all connecting to what we kind of looked at from a communications a sense of view, mostly internal but also externally. Like how you said, you kind of wear your own block printing thing to that kind of gives that ownership, and and also you're marketing it with anyone shamelessly. Like that is a great point. I also do that. So the other important thing was also like it just kind of went past, but it was really interesting to know that this project that you're doing, it's kind of at one point of time it could have been impossible, in that kind of a way. But like the way you have navigated and seen where you're coming from and where the community is coming from, and then coming together and creating that whole design thinking approach, I think is really interesting. So yeah, just thank you for that. Um, yeah, so finally we do the Omlas tradition of taking a screenshot. So please, can we have all our cameras, videos on? Okay, Nitin, we have Amrita and Bhavnadi. Manju is sick, so yeah. Aman, come on. All right. So three, two, one. Oh, where is Sunny? Wait, I'm waiting. Yeah. All right. Three, two, one. There you go. Thank you so much, Zara, again. And I will. Can you also? I will share the social media handles for your thing, so we can at least support you online for Dastane, the things you showed. So yeah, I'll share it with the cohort. So thank you so much.
Sure. Again, thank you so much for inviting me. It's been an absolute pleasure being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.